Welcome to Table for Two. I'm Phil.
Phil, we've discussed this. We're done playing this game. You're no longer chaotic. Come back to me, nice Phil.
Oh, and I suppose you're an elven warrior?
Oh yeah, I forgot too. Well, I think we need a little Christmas magic to change us back into Jane and Phil. What do you think?
Are you satisfied?
No, not yet. What's this bah humbug stuff? We need to change that, and I have to change me too. Now we can do the show! Because we're in our Christmas attire. Hooray! I'm an elf, and you're Santa.
I'm Santa.
I love Christmas. I love Christmas. Only 4 days from now.
Yep.
Whether I find it frightful,
Jane,
so delightful.
you know we're here to do a show.
Simply no place to go.
Yeah.
Let it go, let it go, let it go. It doesn't go fine, but
I like Christmas decorations.
I know you do. You should
It's
see the rest
cute.
of our house.
Yeah, I like Christmas decorations. I like Christmas.
Excellent. But we're here to review a game.
Okay, we should do the show.
We should. So, in fact, today we are here to review Chaostle by Chivalry Games.
Yes, it's a 2 to 8 player game. Of course, we're doing it from the 2-player perspective. And you have to be 10 years old or older to play the game.
Yes.
So let's do our review.
Table for two, table for two. Having fun, playing games, just me and you.
So first of all, we are doing a new format for this show. A little bit different than the last couple of shows you might have watched. We are going to do the review of the game first. And then if you want to stick around and watch how the game is played, you're more than welcome to do that. But we're going to do the review first. Now also, you might have noticed in our last game for Wordwinder, and by the way, you have 4 more days to enter the contest. Make sure I point that out. For Wordwinder, we didn't have a drink of choice. Now, we didn't say anything on the actual video, but we did write it in the notes. But we are no longer doing the drink of choice, maybe some water occasionally.
Yeah.
Because we realized after we got some feedback that we have a lot of younger folks watching the show, which is great. Keep watching younger folks. But we don't want to condone drinking to the younger generation.
Yeah.
However, if you want to drink while watching the show and you're an adult over 21,
Feel free.
have at it. Have at it. So you all know our show criteria by now. Hey! Hey! Take the criteria out of here.
They all know by now.
By now they know the criteria, and we're going to talk about it in 2 seconds. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, the game is called Chaostle by Chivalry Games. And Phil, let's first of all talk about criteria 1. Was this game easy to learn?
Well, the rules were kind of thick.
My ear itches. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Probably those ears that you had on there. The rules are a little bit thick, 40 pages. So
Big rule book.
It took us about 15 or 20 minutes of reading the rules just to even prepare to play the game.
Yeah.
You really do need to know the rules pretty well to get playing. However, out of the 40 pages, the first couple pages are describe the land of Zirconics, which is kind of cool.
Like
a story
cool
behind the
storyline,
game.
yeah.
Not vital to the game. If you just want to cut to the chase and start playing, you don't need to read that.
But it was a good read.
It was a good read. The first 20 pages are the rules. You really need to kind of go over those in order to know how to play. The last 20 pages are more or less reference. So we found we were going to that portion of the booklet throughout the game, but you really don't need to read the entire last half of the book in order to get started. Right. So we gave easy to learn a 3.
Yeah, mostly because it was a little long to learn, timing, but definitely a 3.
So the manufacturing.
Yes, I can't say enough about the manufacturing of this game. Take a look. This game board is beautiful. I mean, it's flat, it's smooth. I mean, it feels nice. The castle wall pieces, amazing. And I love the fact that I know other games do this too, but just to point out, each of the castle wall pieces have little tabs on the bottom where they plug very nicely into the actual board so they don't move. As a matter of fact, we actually moved this game while we were playing to another room at one point where we just grabbed an end and we were able to move it. Nothing fell over. As you mentioned, the dice don't knock anything over. It's beautiful. The character pieces are very, very cute. This is a wizard, in case you can't see that, but we might show you a little picture of that during the show. But they're very well made. They're very sturdy, very well detailed. As a matter of fact, on the website for the Chaostle website, they actually have people who have painted these. Now I have no talent for that, so I'm not messing these up. But I wouldn't mind buying the people who actually did that. Beautiful, beautiful pieces. The character cards, which we'll explain in a little bit, are very well made. Again, they're very heavy duty. They're not going anywhere. I can't say enough. This game, even the rule book, is perfect in manufacturing. So we gave it, because it is perfect in manufacturing, a 5.
Yes.
Now, I don't know, Phil, what do you think? Did we have some fun with this game?
This game was a blast. I had so much fun.
This game.
And yes, the rules are complex, but it's very well put together. The rules are very well orchestrated. The game is just a lot of fun. There's so many different aspects to the game that just keep your interest.
Keeps your attention.
Keeps your attention the entire time that we played.
It's not like a game where you're going, oh, is it almost over? You know,
Yeah.
it's really, you're involved.
It
You
really is.
love it.
So absolutely, without a doubt, we gave the
Fun
level
factor.
of fun
Fun
a
factor.
5.
5. Perfect again.
Now, as I mentioned about keeping your interest through the entire game, how about the length of this game?
Okay, well, here's where we here at Table for Two are going to totally contradict ourselves. If you've watched prior, episodes of Table for Two, you've always heard us say timing is very important to us when it comes to having a short game because of our work schedules and everything else. So like an hour or less is typically really good for us, and we used to give high scores for that. This game, when we figured it out after we finished playing, took us a little over 3 hours. Now, for us, that's usually way too long, and it's like, oh, we don't have time for that kind of a game. But I'm going to tell you something. We never even noticed that 3 hours had gone by. I mean, we just didn't. And admittedly, some of that 3 hours was going into the rule book and then checking rules, and we'll talk about that later, but it didn't bother us. It wasn't annoying. It was just so much fun that 3 hours just went bing, and it was gone. And I, like you said, we would have probably, play a couple times in one day because it is 3, 6, 9 hours, 12 hours. But the idea is that it's definitely a longer game, but we said we don't care. We would play it anyway. So 4 on timing, just because it was a little too long for us, but we liked it so much, it made up for it.
Yeah.
So 4 for timing. Now, with all this we've been just saying, what do you think the 5th criteria is about, would we play this game again? I don't know. Would we play this game?
I don't know.
Again?
Would we play this game?
Yeah.
We would absolutely play this
God
game.
bless. Let's play now. Let's just cancel the show.
In fact,
and let's play.
If it wasn't so late in the day, we would have played it again the same night.
We would, honestly, we would have.
It was that much fun.
Yeah, this game is, I'm telling you, I don't usually say this on the show, and I don't think I've said this yet on the show. You gotta go get this game. And I don't get paid for saying that. The manufacturer didn't give us anything. I just love this game, and I want to play it like now again, really.
Yeah.
I do.
It was a lot of fun. We'll definitely play this
And
game.
honestly, the 2 to 8 factor, I think my friends will enjoy this game. I think our friends will enjoy this game, and I think it'll be a great night for pizza and playing Chaostle. Definitely would great. We can grab some friends to play this as well. But for 2, even it was fantastic. So total score out of 25 points.
Gotta do the obligatory drum roll.
Like a ding, ding, ding. Anyway, today out of 25 points, Chaostle has received a
22.
Good job, Chaostle. 22 points. So now, if you would like to see a little bit more about the game and how it's played, let's take a look and do that next.
The object of Chaostle is to get one or more of your characters to the sanctuary in the center of the board. Now, before you even start the game, all the players decide how many characters need to get into the sanctuary in order to win the game.
Right.
Obviously, the more characters you choose, the longer the gameplay could take. So, we actually chose 2 when we played our game.
Right.
It worked quite well. So, Each player is going to start with an army of 3 characters.
Now, you could do a little more, but the book did suggest 3.
You could, yes. So, but the book suggests 3, yes. So what you're going to do is roll a dice to decide who gets to pick the first character. There are a lot of characters to pick from. There's an elf, there's a dragon, there's crusaders,
Even
a
a unicorn.
minotaur, there's a unicorn, there's a wizard. There are a lot of different characters to play. So
Pick wisely.
Yes, pick wisely. Okay, each character you're going to get a playing piece. As you said before, a very nice playing piece.
Very nicely made.
And you're going to get a character card. Okay? So, then you're also going to decide on starting positions. There are 2 basic starting positions on the board. There are king positions and there are queen positions.
I, of course, took the queen.
You took the queen position. There's really no advantage to taking either one. One over the other. What it really determines is what direction you're going to move when you play. King positions will move in a clockwise fashion around the board, back to the staircase next to the starting position. Queen positions are going to move in a counterclockwise direction around the board, likewise to the staircase next to the starting position. So you're basically making almost one lap around the board, one space.
Did you
shy
get all
of
the way
one lap.
around at least once?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Choosing your starting position, you're going to be choosing a color at the same time. So for instance, the green starting position, you would have green bases for your characters.
In this
I
case,
chose
yeah.
red, and you
There's
get to
the
put,
unicorn.
there's the unicorn. You get to put red bases on your characters, which makes it really easy to spot your characters around the board.
To find out whose army's whose.
Yes. And again, so if I start on, let's say, this starting space, I'm going to work my way all the way around the board back to this staircase. That is how I get to the castle. So you have to make a full lap.
Right.
Okay? There's actually one more character in this game, and it's the castle itself.
The castle.
Now, the castle can be defeated by anybody. It doesn't have to be defeated per person. It starts with the suggested 100 points, which is what we used.
100 points of health.
100 points of health. You basically have to fight the castle in order to get that down to 0. You have to completely defeat the castle,
Right.
which opens the door to be able to get into the sanctuary. Until the castle is defeated, nobody can get into the sanctuary.
You just got to keep trying to beat it up.
Right. Now, a good thing is the castle doesn't fight back. So you don't have to worry about fighting the castle and losing health and then having to start over. So you just battle away until you get through it. And it can be a cooperative effort. Depends how quickly everyone gets to the center square. Okay. So how do we actually get things started? Well, you start by placing one of your characters on your start space. And you can choose which of your 3 characters you start. And then players just take turns rolling a die on each turn.
And the one thing you have to remember is you can't have 2 characters on the same space. Hence why you
Right.
start with 1. And as you move that character, eventually you can bring up more. We'll talk to you how that happens. But
Right.
Yeah, you start with 1.
Yes. Yes, and you only have the one start space that you can start at a time.
Exactly.
Okay? So
Then we start rolling the dice and moving around.
we start rolling the dice. So basically the way a turn works is you're going to roll 1 die. Just 1. And that what you roll is going to determine movement, and it's also going to determine some additional things that happen in the game.
This is kind of the fun part of the game.
It really
That's the
is.
normal roll and move. It's rolling. Now what does this do?
Every number can force something to happen based on what that number is. So I'll kind of go through those real quick.
Yeah.
So if you roll a 1 or a 2, you can of course move one of your characters 1 or 2 spaces. But you can also start a character if you roll a 1 or a 2.
As long as that start space is empty.
As long as it's empty. So if your character got killed or you just haven't started a character yet, you roll a 1 or a 2, there you go. If you roll a 3, now they call that
Lucky three.
a lucky 3. If you roll a 3, you get to roll again after you move. So you move your 3 spaces, and then you get to roll again. Almost like doubles in some game, but they don't do the doubles thing here. It's just if you
It's
roll
1
a 3.
die, so
Right.
I do doubles.
If you roll a 4, you get a choice. You can either move the 4 or you can not move at all. you can just decide I'm staying exactly where I'm at.
I'm staying put.
Right. That might be an advantage later if we'll talk a little bit about battle. Now, if you roll a 5, Jane, do you want to say what
Five is
happens?
my favorite number. Every time I roll 5, I'm like, yeah,
I
it's a
know
5.
it is.
Okay, so here's the deal. So when you roll a 5, it's called a fate 5 or 5 fate or something like that. It means you're going to have fate. So you do have to move the 5. So you move
Yes.
your character 5 spaces. But then you roll for your fate. And the first thing you do is you roll the red die. Not sure what the difference is if you roll the red or the white, but the idea is you're supposed to roll the red. You roll it, and if you have a 1 through 3, you have a happy fate, happiness fate. If you have a 4 through 6, doom fate. You have doom fate. So there's 2 cards. One actually says happiness, and one says doom. So again, if you run 1 through 3, or depending on what you have. So you look at the cards. Okay, let's say I had doom, unfortunately. Then you take your 2 dice, you roll them, and then you have to figure out which doom you get. So you roll that dice. In this case, I had a 5. You find the 5 on the card, and you figure out which doom you have. Now, both happiness and doom cards show exactly what you get, but it doesn't tell you what to do. So there's actually 2 beautiful description booklets. One's for the happiness, yay, and one's for the doom. I'm not going to read all these to you. But what happens is, let's say I rolled the 5 and I rolled for my fate, and I have happiness as a fate. Here's some examples of some fate which I liked. So for the happiness one, I like the one that's called ecstasy. Give me just a second. The chosen character is ecstatic at the discovery of a hidden portal. It's a very exciting thing.
It's very exciting.
That lands them further along the castle. Upgrade that character's starting position by 1 and place the character on its new starting position. So I mean, it gives you a 1-up basically to get a little further along in the game. Now another one I thought was really, really good is healing. A wandering healer. And there's this little storyline too. A wandering healer stops by your camp tending to the wounded before walking off into the sunset. All of your characters are healed to the maximum amount of health points. It's like bang. So if you have a couple of people who are not too healthy, everybody's healthy. It's just great happiness. Now, unfortunately, if you roll a 5 and you have to find out you have doom.
Doom.
Again, you roll for the doom. There's a certain doom like, I love this one, plague. A foul plague has arisen throughout the land of Zirconax. Can I say that right? Zirconix.
Yes.
Sorry, people who made the game. No one seems safe from the devastation. Entire armies fall within the reach of their lives. Just decrease the health points of all your characters to 1. Oh my gosh, you're like, huh? Really? And then there's another one I like just to share. I'll share one more. The spider lair. So there's some nice places like the torture or the snake pit and the spider lair where you're stuck in a certain spot for a long time. You have to roll a number to get it right. I mean, it's just, this is my favorite part of the game. May I just say?
It's great. And now some of the fate can affect all the players,
Oh, yeah,
not
all
just
the
the player.
Or good or bad. But
Right.
I just love when we roll the 5 because here's why I like it. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on this. When you roll the 5, you get to get the fate, which is cool. But the whole point of this is it can change the game completely.
Yes.
All of a sudden you're like, I'm winning. Oh, I'm losing.
I thought I was winning at one point, and then I got doom, and it kind of set me back.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that was what's really great of the game, and I am so not really comparing this to Flux right now. I'm not. But the idea is, like, if you ever played Flux, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I apologize. It's one of those games where things are constantly changing, and that's what I felt the Fate did. It changed the game
To
up.
some degree.
Yeah, not drastically.
It doesn't just say you win, it's not that crazy.
But you could say all of a sudden you have all the health in the world.
Right.
It's like, love that.
Yeah.
I love that part.
So-
So 5 is my favorite roll, by the
Right.
way, I'll say that. Now, what if you roll a 6?
Well, if you roll a 6, you move 6. It's
Move
pretty
6.
simple.
It's a pretty simple rule, and it's kind of normal.
Yeah, it sounds boring, but you do
Roll
get to
6,
move
move a
6,
6.
which is going pretty fast in this game.
Exactly. So you're basically rolling around and getting
Yeah.
all these cool things to do.
That's basically it. So now let's talk a little bit about movement again. The game is actually in 3 layers.
Which is also cool.
Very cool. So when you're starting, your starting space, you're on layer 1, and you see this kind of cobblestone that goes, I bumped something, cobblestone that weaves its way all the way around the perimeter of each section of the board. That's the longest way around the board. It's probably the most conservative or the safest way around the board.
Yep.
Because you're always going to be able to move. You don't have to worry about rolling a 2 and not being able to move to that spot. Unlike The second or the third layers. The second layer, you can see, is a large plus sign on the board. So
Right.
now what you'll see with that plus sign is there are these gaps. Well, these gaps represent spaces that you can't land on if you roll. So if I'm in this position and I roll a 2, 1, 2,
Not
I
gonna
can't
happen.
move there. So I have to move a different character.
Or you have to have at least a 3.
Or I have to have at least a 3 or 4, 5, 6 in order to move across that gap.
Right.
So
You have to jump. It's called jumping in the
It's
rule
called
book.
jumping, yes. Now, obviously, this path is shorter for the second level, so you can move a little bit faster if you're rolling correctly. 3 has even wider gaps, but 3 is just this one square. So you can get around the board pretty fast if your rolls are just right, and you can make those jumps. So
And just so you know, to get to the levels, it's just staircases. I mean, you'll see it goes up or
yeah,
down.
there are some stairs in
You
between.
can go back down too, by the way.
Right.
Oh, I think I'm going back down.
So the levels are also important. We're going to talk about battle, that you can really only battle people on the same level. So that's important to keep in mind as well. And then a couple other things to point out. The center square, even though it's raised to the second level, you don't move to it from the plus area. You move to it only through the staircases that I mentioned earlier. And then there are a couple other things that look like they're on level 3, but they're really off on their own. We have a spider's lair,
Yuck, I don't like spiders.
and we have a torture chamber.
You got the raid anywhere?
And the rack or whatever happens in the torture chamber, I don't know. You really, yeah, you love spiders.
I don't.
You don't actually move within those levels. They're just a place
They're
you
the
get
traps.
sent to. They're the traps, and there are different fates that may send you there, and there might be a fate to get you out, or you might just die in there and then have to regenerate.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
so they're really not part of the movement of the game. They're just off on those corners. All right. So now it
So
sounds.
all we do is move around.
Yeah, all we do is just keep moving around the board. No, obviously there's a lot more to it. I mean,
Okay,
we've got
good,
these
'cause I was getting a
character
little bored
cards
there,
here
just
that
that-
look really rich. So I think what we need to do is talk a little bit about.
So let's talk a little bit about battling. I think I won that battle, by the way, in the little excerpt there. Ha ha ha. Anyway, so when you are in, or as Phil said, you're on the same level as someone, and you're close enough to them. So for example, let's say Phil's unicorn was over here somewhere. And then here comes my dragon. And my dragon's over here. So we're on the same level, but I have to hit him in 1, 2, 3, range of 3 to get him or to hit him. So if I move, let's say I moved, da 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 da, here I am. After I finish my move, so basically at the end of your move, when you're done with your roll and where you moved and whatever specialty roll you did, then I could say, oh, dragon sees the unicorn. I can say, you know what, I am going to battle. So now how do you battle? So let's just talk about this. I'm going to take the dragon card here, and you can all see it as well. And let's just first talk about the card itself. Again, each character you get one of these character cards. So if you've ever played an RPG in your life, this will be a piece of cake. If not, it's not hard to learn either. So that's not bad.
Right.
So let's take a look at the card. First of all, at the very top of the card, it shows what kind of card or what kind of character he is or she is. In this case, this is a chaotic character, or they say chaos at the top, which is usually a bad guy, just to be fair. Kind of like how Phil was earlier on in the show. Yeah. To the right, you'll see in the black or gray area, it'll say that he's a dragon. You know that he's a dragon. Also gives you his name in case you want to call him by name. His name, I believe, is Valerius Pyre. I guess that's how you say that. And it shows you the level of the character. In this case, level 3. Now, there are only 3 levels. Level 1 is a less strong character, and level 3 would be your more strong character. So just, that's the highest it can go. It shows you a little picture of the character, in case you forgot what your character looks like. Now, on the top, though, you'll see there's a blue area. Every character starts off with a number of health points. In this case, the dragon has 40 health points. Now, you might say, Jane, what is the 44?
Gee, what's the 44?
I'll tell you. So every character item has two, sides to it. 44 would be if I upgraded my character. And there are ways to do upgrades. We won't go through all the details on that. Sometimes it's a fake card or something. But when you upgrade your character, you take one of the little pins and you put it in that hole to say it's now upgraded. So if I was at 40 health and now I'm up to 44 health, I would have the little pin there to say so. So health is how many points you have before you die, basically. If you lose your health, you're pretty much dead. Movement, and you may or may not have this on your card. In my case, I have a 2 for the dragon. When you actually roll the die and make your move, so let's say it's a roll of a 2, I could actually say, I'm going to move 4. Because you could add, in my case, I could add 2 more movements to my roll. So that's a nice feature. You don't have to use that. It's an optional move. But if you need that extra space to do the jump, and you have the movement on your card, that's perfect.
But you have that move that full amount. You can't say, well, I have a 2, I'm just going to use a 1. You got to use the 2.
And then there's armor and protection. Now, in this case, I only have a 1 for armor, which is not too big for a dragon, but health is pretty high. But if, let's say, Phil battled me, and he actually caused damage, let's say he caused 10 damage, I'm just making that up, I could say, oh, I have armor of 1, so it's only 9 damage. So that's pretty much what that is. Now, by the way, going back to the health, at the very bottom of the card, you'll actually see you use the little markers, the little pins, to actually flag where you're at. So right now I'm at 40 still. But if I lost health during a battle, you use the pins to show 30 or whatever it happens to be. However many health points you have left. Hopefully you have some. On the right in the red is our special abilities area. Now here's something that, again, we talked about the game took us a little time. It's because when we were looking at our special abilities, we had to keep referring to the book to figure out what those abilities did and how we can use them. Let's just say we highly recommend when you get your 3 characters or however many you play to read about your abilities way before you start battling. It probably will make the game a little bit better. Otherwise, you have to grab the book and have to, let me look at my, abilities.
I didn't realize I could use that.
I could use that, So definitely the abilities are very important to learn about on your characters. Now, here's the funny part about the story here. So after we finished playing the game, I said to Phil, it would be so cool if on the back, there's so much room on the back of this card, if we could have something that said the abilities on here and the descriptions versus having to go into the book. And I was even thinking to set myself, the next time we play this game, I'm going to type up a whole bunch of stuff and just put it on stick it on. Here's the funny part. I went to the manufacturer's website, Chaostle.com, and they actually sell for a few bucks, I forget, it's not less than 10, I think. You can buy the stickers to put on for the cards. So I was like, he must be thinking, the manufacturer's thinking the same thing I was thinking. So I ordered them right away. I ordered them actually today as we're taping the show. So definitely, it was nice. It would be nice to have those when we get them for the special abilities. Now, in the gray area are your weapons. Okay, so here's how you battle. So let's say again the dragon says, I'm gonna try to get the unicorn. So the first thing I do is I roll the die to see which weapon I'm going to use. I rolled a 1, which is the Furious Roar of Fire.
Ooh,
this is where I need my reading glasses.
sounds good.
Furious Roar of Fire. Now it says, you'll see in the last column it says range. I have to be in a range of at least 2. 1, 2, 3. That means I didn't hit him.
Right.
If for any reason though I was here, let's make this convenient for me. Oh, I'm now in a range of 2. So if I was in a range of 2, I would have hit. And that would have caused 15. No, 15. No, 15?
That is 15
I need
damage.
reading glasses. I'm getting old. 15 damage, right? So then he would look at his unicorn card and say, well, I have 1 armor. So he'd take a 14 points of damage.
14 points.
Okay, so that would knock him out a little bit. Now we go back and forth. So after I take that turn, Phil would do the same thing with the unicorn, rolling the die, finding the weapon, and we're going back and forth for a while. Now the battle ends when one of 2 things happen. 1 of us dies. Or 2, the attacker on the roll misses, like the first time. that would have been the end of the battle if I left it that way. So it's until either one person dies or the attacker actually misses, and that's the battle's over. Now, if you do die, you're not really, really dead. And what I mean by that is you take your character off the board, but if you roll a 1 or a 2 somewhere around the you can actually go back and put your character back to the starting position and start over and literally revived, for a better word. Now, the last thing that's on the card, it speaks to that. It's called the starting position. So again, if I was starting the beginning of the game on the purple, As I move around the board, once I pass another staircase of an opponent, usually is what they call that there, then I can say, okay, I've passed that staircase. I can move my starting position to number 2. And then once I pass this staircase, I can move it to number 3. So what's nice about that is after you've moved it to 2 or 3, if you lose your character, he dies, when you revive him or her, could be her, you put him into that new starting position.
So you don't have to start completely over
Right,
again.
it's a benefit, it's an advantage. So when you die, don't move that off. It sticks there permanently. So that is the beautiful character card. I just mentioned that again. But the battle's very easy to do, and hopefully you win the battle when you battle. So I love the battle part.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we're doing all this moving around, and obviously to win the game, we need to get our characters, however many we decided, into the sanctuary.
However, you can't just walk into the sanctuary.
Right.
You also have to do a final battle. And that is to battle the castle. So whoever gets up here first, I'm just going to pretend this is me up here first. I can then battle the castle. There's a castle card. Again, as Phil mentioned, it starts with 100 health points. Works the same exact way. I roll my die. I got a 3. You always assume you're in range when you're on that.
Yes, range of 0.
Yeah, range of
is what
0
you need.
completely. So if I go, okay, 3, that would be fiery volcanic ash, and that would have hit it with 11. So I would move the castle down 11, and it doesn't fight back.
Nope.
Doesn't have any protection. You're just knocking it out, but you only get 1 per turn. So after I battle and I say, okay, that's 11 points a hit, then I'm done with my turn.
Right.
And I could try again and again, or somebody else could try if they're in there. But the idea is that whoever gets to the 0 first can then on their next turn move into the sanctuary.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when we were playing, you actually were the first up on the wall.
And I was battling that
You
castle.
battled away. I didn't even contribute on that. You knocked
I
out,
knocked out the
the
castle.
castle. You got one of your characters into the sanctuary. I raced all the
Who's
way
your daddy?
around, and I was so excited. Like, oh, this is great! Guess who's going to win the game?
Jane!
You still managed to win the game.
I won the game. I won the game. Okay.
Very nice.
I really, you know why? Because I think I really liked the game. I was so into this game.
Early on I was on a roll. Now you are on a roll. You have
Yeah,
won
I
another game.
think I'm caught up at this point. So I did win this game. So if this game intrigues you, and I think hopefully it does. I mean, I can't imagine why anybody would not want to try this game unless you're really not into it. you might like Clue or Sorry. It's a different type of game. This is Chaostle. I definitely recommend going out and getting this game. Now, I wanted to mention one more thing. The rule book does have a lot of variations and things you can do. One of those is if you are a 2-player scenario, you can actually play half the board. Now, we could have done that, but we thought, no, let's just play the whole board. It's, yeah, it took 3 hours, but so that probably also would shorten the game time, just to be fair. I don't think we'd ever try. I think we'd always play the whole board.
I'm glad we chose to play the whole board. I really am.
So now if you want to go out and pick up yourself a copy of this beautiful Chaostle game, you can obviously go to your local game shop, see if they've got it. By the way, it's a huge box. We didn't show the box this time around, but it's a
beautiful
huge
box.
It's just big. So I don't know. And there's a component, places are all the components. I love the box. But anyway, or you can go to eBay. Maybe you get a better deal, I don't know, than the local game shop. But you can also go to the Chaostle website. They sell it right online. It's like around $70, so it's a little more expensive than our normal game we've been talking about on the show, but it's so perfect. It's worth every penny. I also want to mention, when I talked to the manufacturer via email, I had asked him a couple of questions about some things, and I found out that there is also a, what's the word I'm looking for, expansion, an expansion set that just came out, I think, February of 2013. Now, we don't have that expansion set, but I want to let you know, I so ordered the expansion set. More characters and probably new rules or something, so I'm very excited about that. Hopefully, if you like the game, you'll take a look at the expansion set as well. So anyway, I just hope you take a look at it. I think you'll enjoy it. I really have to say, go buy this game.
I'm looking forward to it.
Go get this game. So anyway, thank you so much for watching Table for Two once again. Happy holidays, by the way. I know it's 4 days before Christmas. Some of you already celebrated Hanukkah. What was it? Thanksgiving-ka?
Yes, Thanksgiving-ka. That was a while ago.
And we will see you next year. But until we see you next year, let's just have a little... Whoops.
Weather outside is frightful. The fire is so delightful. It's we've no place to go. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Table for Two show created by
Mrs.